grinning while you say grace, shaking off the tail in people's face. Where the devil day, where the devil day, look the devil day. To fool people eyes, devil does disguise, but it's no problem to recognize them. Some like to deck in suit whole day and round their neck have valleys. You're pretty devil, you're pretty bad. Well, look the devil right in your yard, and he grinning while you say in grace, shaking off the tail in people's face. With the devil day, with the devil day, look the devil day. Hey. It had some devil with gone and Bible who praise their Savior, but us they neighbor. Another kind, she kicks and blows, hiding behind some police clothes. You're pretty devil, you're pretty bad. Well, look the devil right in your yard, and he grinning while you say in grace, shaking up the tail in people's face. With the devil day, with the devil day, look the devil day.
Some people in the world today don't realize that worries don't pay. Let the people in the world today don't realize that worries don't pay. Resting the worries upon your shoulder, only bringing you older and older. These wicked things them people does do. You don't realize you have worries too. Tell them to never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I said to tell them never ever worry. Don't mind how you're suffering bad. Never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. Always consider somebody suffering more than you. When I was young, Granny said to me, Ulrich boy, never ever worry, or your problem would seem bigger and bigger, and you'll be living a life of torture. She told me as a matter of fact, to fling all my troubles behind my back, keep in touch with the Almighty, for guidance, love, and serenity. She said to never ever worry, don't mind how things looking hard. The granny told me, never ever worry, don't mind how you're suffering bad. Granny tell me, never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. Always consider somebody suffering more than you.
Yes, indeed, of course. A pleasant good night to all and sundry. I thought I should begin with some vintage calypso, but with deep meaning. Because, of course, while he is not saying don't worry at all, but of course, he puts in elements of optimism by saying, whilst you may worry because of your circumstance, there is always a solution. That is what I take away from this calypso. Yes, indeed. In spite of the circumstance, you can, of course, prevail. You can conquer. And that is so in contemporary Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, indeed. Let's hear the man himself, the great.
I'm sure you hold on your wide red. What all these great scientists have said is a fact and it has been told. What reason it was sickness in the world? Oh yes, they could explain. If you let worries take charge of your brain, 10 to 1 you'll end up like a louse. Start stirring mad in the crazy house. That's why you never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell you, never ever worry. Don't mind how you're suffering bad. I tell you, never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. Anywhere you turn, somebody's suffering more than you. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell you, never ever worry. Don't mind how you're suffering bad. Never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. Always consider somebody suffering more than you. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. Never ever worry. Don't mind how you're suffering bad. Never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. Anywhere you turn, somebody suffering more than you. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell you, never ever worry. Don't mind how you're suffering bad.
Yes, indeed, a pleasant good night once again. And again, the moral of the story, that in spite of your circumstance, it doesn't matter how treacherous, how debilitating, how intractable, and the extent to which you would have reached the stage of giving up. And indeed, the extent to which you might have reached the stage of believing that there is no solution. I say to you, no matter how bad it is, there is always a solution. That is the moral of the story in essence. And therefore, Pretender is correct that the challenges placed by the Rowley administration on the current citizenry of Trinidad and Tobago, in spite of that, there is, or put another way, there are solutions. Yes, indeed. And that is how we must think, and that is the spirit of the human, unrelenting, and will not surrender, especially in circumstances where the perpetrators are themselves evildoers. How could you give up? We cannot afford to give up. We will not give up. And we believe, of course, not just in the righteousness of the human spirit and its resilience, but also in circumstances where that in spite of the difficulties, in spite of the challenges, in spite of the apparent no solution. Solutions will emerge. It was only last night I spoke of the existential philosophy, the existentialist philosophy. And that speaks, of course, to the human being as a thinking entity, as one that can deep thought, and one that can work out mathematically and otherwise and pragmatically solutions to problems. And that is why I said that if you were born in Laventille and that you would have been experiences during your formative years, poverty, unemployment, poor infrastructure, abuse, and political victimization. And I say to all Laventillians, and when I say so, I mean people in the Betham, people in Silatz, people in Chumakaka, people, of course, in Picton, people, of course, in John, people in St. Barb's and on the hill in general, Laventille, that when, of course, you are subjected to the indiscretions of those who ought to know better and claim to be your leaders, you will have no choice at the end of the day, like a tiger that is, of course, boxed in, and have no choice but to launch forward in order for survival. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Because it is clear. It is clear that the resilience of the human spirit and the human being is one that at one point in time can say that enough is enough, and therefore we must get rid of that impediment, of that devastating hindrance to progress and to development. And therefore to see Laventille and communities and surroundings as, of course, a voter bank for the PNM must be something that must be relegated to the dustbin of history. We must recognize that it is on our own behalf and our own volition and our own temperament and our own willingness that we must emerge, but emerge successfully and, of course, in our best interest, in order, of course, to take ourselves forward by way of the community and by way of successive or to come generations. It is against that background, therefore, I thought it was important, of course, once again tonight to prove to you, having, of course, given verbal explanations as to what we did politically. You see, the sanctity of the transformation process, whilst, of course, it is incremental, and while, of course, it is not a quick fix or can be achieved overnight, but we must be able, by way of incremental or anecdotal achievements or successes, to say we are in the right direction. I say to you tonight, Laventille and environs, that you are in the right place. What you need, of course, is the right leadership, and therefore, as I condemned that of the PNM over the years, having, of course, exploited the area, and, of course, the leaders that remain there, and, of course, they're more loyal, of course, to the Balize as opposed to you. And so, after the 1986 elections, when Trinidad and Tobago should have been, as far as the PNM is concerned, paid homage to Laventille, not only in the context of we invented, of course, the steel pan, and therefore the accolades that it is getting now, belatedly, but nonetheless, that creativity and that spirit of survival and survivability is clearly interwoven and of course deep in the recesses of not just the instrument but the ability of the people to emerge out of the quagmire and the desperate situation that they have found themselves over many decades of the PNM dominating of course the political space and sphere in of course these communities that comprise the typical Laventille sociologically and psychologically. Let us not waste time. I say to you that while most would give up, we of Laventille must not. We must always have some reserve for saying one day, we are going to, of course, emerge. Because if we didn't have that vision and that tenacity and that ability, you see, it is said that luck is when opportunity meets what? Preparation. Well, I say luck has reached the doorsteps of Laventille. What say you? The Kamala Prasad Bisesa administration has proven, or put another way, the PNM has proven that the Kamala Prasad Bisesa administration is not what they told you and told us they were and are. They continue, of course, to make glib, loose, and reckless statements that the UNC is corrupt, but they have not, or put another way, have failed to give us the empirical evidence to so concur and so, of course, justify our choice or option to say never must we consider the UNC, but they have failed to do so miserably. The abject failure is monumental. Just imagine in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, in the debate for the, or on the 2025 election, the Minister of National Security, the man who, of course, is carrying our national security on his shoulders, so to speak, something like Atlas, and is the, of course, representative for Laventille West at the same time. And he has the audacity, the temerity, the gall, the effrontery, and the asinineness, yes, the foolishness, the dunderheadedness to tell the population in that debate, listen, he was told by somebody that a couple of thousands of dollars was being paid to kill someone. And that fool, that nincompoop, that inane individual called Fitzgerald Hines, unashamedly, because if you are National Security Minister, clearly, as we have seen, they have, of course, control and, of course, access to the Commissioner of Police, and while it may be to a lesser extent, but nonetheless, as Minister, he has access to the DPP. How come you ain't tell these officers that are supposed to investigate matters of this nature? How come, Hines? How come you ain't tell them? And how come you choose the Parliament and at this time they try to get what? To try to score cheap. But I consider to be already emaciated. It's cheap already, you know, but it's thin, emaciated political points. These political kobos. Kobo! Of course, the plural of kobo is French, so of course the French plural ends with an X, B-A-U-X. But I am making the point that we are not in a grammar school at this point in time, or indeed we are not in a linguistic class. But the fact of the matter is, we must understand what we speak about, and we must speak about things that we understand. And so, I call on Fitzgerald Hinds to present the evidence that he presented in the Parliament. And if that is not forthcoming, then we can safely say is another one of the multiple and manifold and monolithic propaganda escapades of this government. Not here alone. We have heard, of course, in another incarnation, a fella talk about, of course, he will ride to work. A big lawyer. They give him SC recently. I'm talking about the representative for Port of Spain South. All of them have gone mad. It's a situation of non-compos mentis, of unsound mind individuals that have, of course, invaded our political space, and therefore attempting to attempting to sustain that position as if we are an income. Feed us with hogwash, feed us with dunderheaded irrelevance, and want us, of course, to then engage them politically and put them back in office. I say, haul all your tail, all your. But people, of course, you would see on the screen my proof of the role of serious leaders as far as Laventille is concerned. I told you that Love Laventille Outreach for Vertical Enrichment is the party that we formed in order to enter the UNCA arrangement in 2007. And in that arrangement, I told you that there was a special place for Laventille in the manifesto. You don't want it better than that? Where is the space for Laventille in any PNM manifesto? Where is it? And where are the leaders on the ground, in the grassroots, in the nook and cranny, on the pavement, and of course around the community centers and other public spaces, in the playing fields, etc., and the areas where, of course, you interact, whether it's being linemen on the block? Where are the leaders to tell our young people and to tell others, listen, this thing cannot continue like this, and therefore our community is in jeopardy, it is in trouble, and we must, of course, act unanimously, not with the majority, unanimously, to rid ourselves of this scourge called the PNM that has been in office for too long and have done untold damage to the psyche and the material manifestations and or development of the Laventille and environs community, and we must put a stop to it. The UNC has not done anything wrong to you. I told you, of course, about the East Port of Spain opportunity that was scuttled by, of course, the propaganda and the myopia and the wickedness that they want to subject Laventille and environs to. And Eulalie James, when Kamala Prasad Bissessa said, take those apartments for $100 because your generations of families live there, and therefore you paid your dues, no need to charge you 300,000 or 100,000. No, take it for $1. Take it for $1. And Eulalie James and them, they say that's a trick and don't do it. Only to have Rowley say today that he's going to, of course, bulldoze that area for their so-called rehabilitation of East Port of Spain. And really and truly it is about gentrification, the removing of the original, indigenous, those who were there first to bring in, of course, their 1%ers in a gated environment. That is what's going to happen. But last night, whilst I spoke of the residents, you remember as well, there are businessmen as well of African descent. Yes. Whether their business is a pub, whether their business, of course, is a grocery, whether their business is a tuck store or tuck shop, whether their business is a tire shop, whether their business is a mechanic shop, whether their business is wholesaling of grocery items, all of that. Business community of Africans, when you would have displaced them, look at Chimook, for example. Chimook Place is up for demolition, you know. Chimook, yes, that bakery that you see almost at the corner of Duncan and, of course, what we call Tambron Square. Yes, just obliquely opposite and therefore northeast of the eastern end of the cathedral in Port of Spain. Yes. Yes. It was already purchased by the government. And a long time ago, it was supposed to disappear from Port of Spain and from, of course, East Port of Spain, having served in that community from time immemorial for decades. Sweet, delicious pastries, bread of all kinds. Yes. Frederick Jones has already moved out. And that is at the corner of Nelson and at the same Tambron Square. They have moved out. And only recently, of course, one of the, I consider to be the well-established hardwares, just at the top of Duncan Street, on the northern end, and just before crossing the bridge onto Piccadilly Street and therefore the adjacent Piccadilly Greens, that has closed down. And at one time, they were under the threat of the PNM. And on that occasion, the Manning administration in 2005, and people like Hazel Smith and myself, and others, some of whom have passed on, including, of course, Michael Morgan and others. We struggled. And what we have achieved, in all practicality, is a delay in the inevitable. Once the PNM is there, we must get rid of them. And then therefore, once they are not there, it means therefore the resurgence and the confidence that we have to invest in that community. And it behoves on us to clean up the crime and criminality and to direct our young people into the path of righteousness for everybody's namesake. Yes, for everybody's, I'm talking the entire country. And once we can achieve that transformatory process, we would have done a significant yeoman service to Trinidad and Tobago. Rowley and they cannot do that. They are about, of course, taking these potentially prime real estate and turning it into, of course, $1 for their friends. You see, I have often argued, quite apart of course, from my concern, with respect, of course, to where Desmos was placed, and the asinine association by Rowley on the cutting of the ribbon and the opening of that facility is that tourists will come there, coming around the savannah, and then of course come down Nelson Street, when he knew fully well and know fully well and ought to know that of course the place from where they are coming from, these two so-called tourists and pan enthusiasts and persons who appreciate good pan music, they will come, that is executed by desperados. Rowley is telling them that these people will come down Nelson Street and come and listen to them. Oh, what a, not just a fabrication, but it's like a situation where you're leading lamb to the slaughter, because the countries from which they come and on which we depend for tourists, the tourist dollar, the Yankee dollar, the foreign exchange, they come from Canada, they come from the United States, they come from the United Kingdom, they come from France, they come from Germany. And all of these countries say to their potential tourists that are supposed to come to Trinidad, they tell them, listen, don't come to Trinidad because the place is too damn violent. And of course we have the most per capita terrorists in the Western Hemisphere. But more than that, they say that if you do come, whether you are investing or as a tourist, don't go down Nelson Street. How the hell Rowley could put desperados there and then of course tell us that he is concerned and he wants of course to promote pan. No, that is a political election gimmickry. These political cobos, their putrid knows no limit, and the stench is stink, and of course all the way to hell. Yes, indeed. How dare them insult our collective and individual intelligence in that way? But no Lavantil, no East Port of Spain. These bearers of destruction, some say bearers of death, as is designated and given that appellation, that name, to of course the Minister of Health and the National Security Ministers, bearers of death. Let us not waste time. Let us understand the task that is ahead of us. And I am not saying it's going to be easy, but certainly when they tell you, and they give you pixie dust like of course URP and CPEP, and then they tell you they put on $2 onto the minimum wage, and then of course have the audacity and the temerity when Kamala Persad-Bissessy say that is too low, you should put $5. They are trying to tell you that she is trying to be popular, but them ain't popular when they put their $2. No, they're trying to be popular. They're trying to win votes. No, in an election period. Why didn't they do it before? Why didn't they do it before? So we know the level of hypocrisy. But I say to you, Kamala $5 offer is much better than the $2 offer. And whether you want to call it populist, or you want to call it a realist, or you want to call it an opportunity. Oh yeah, here my phone. Let's go straight to the lines. Pleasant good night. Yes, the lines are open. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Pleasant good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you, my friend.
And pleasant good night to the right-thinking citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Lennox.
Hey.
I listened to I listened to clipping because I don't have the belly to listen to the outgoing Prime Minister anymore.
All right.
He's a fraud. He's a trickster. He's dishonorable, if it's so to speak.
Yes.
He's not nice. And he stand up in the parliament and he say, there for 10 years, man. And he know he did his best. Rowley supposed to say he did the best serving himself and the people that he's loyal to, not the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, because it's people catching hell. As I heard a woman say today, she own a bakery.
Yes.
And every day, the way how people balling, that's how she said that.
Yeah.
She said people balling, PNM going back. They're going back right there. But she say every single day she have to prepare for a whole flock of people that hungry and has no money to purchase anything, to give them bread and whatever she could give them, and she can't deny them because they are people do not have any money. And she say every time she give, the flock keep getting bigger. So if the flock of people coming to get bread getting bigger without money, that says the country is in a total disaster. Right? And my next point I want to draw to you, Mr. Lennox,
Go ahead.
is the budget of Guyana. I don't know if it's a budget or the goodies that the president of Guyana was giving to his people. And under the People's National Movement in the last 52 years, they govern the country. People want to tell you about they give them a back pay. A back pay is your money you're getting back in a lump sum. If I ain't for correction.
No. It's something like a susu. That's what you heard.
Right?
Yes.
And I heard the president of Guyana on a clipping give back 200,000 Guyanese dollars. Way over there is dollar for dollar. So it's 200,000.
Yes.
Right?
So the currency is concerned, yes.
Right? And he cut the light bill. I want to repeat myself, in case those PNM people fridge door making noise. I want to repeat myself in case they open the fridge and they hear me.
I hear you.
I want to repeat it.
Yes.
That he cut the light bill in Guyana by half. I wonder if they're hearing me, these PNM people. I wonder if they're hearing me. That is where you talk about giving back to your citizens. You know what memories that bring back to me? Kamala Prasad, the Sessa boy, serve the people 500 for baby grant. Serve the people. Kindergarten, getting free kindergarten paid on behalf of the government. Serve the people. That's the memory that bring back to me. When my political leader was there on the throne, she was giving back to the less fortunate. Right?
Yes.
And all the Trinidadians who was laughing at Guyana when they lost, I want them take this or the PNM people to say and put it in the pipe and smoke it, because that budget was directly a lashback to the PNM government to show them how to treat the citizens when you have growth happening in your country, how to treat the citizen. And this honorable man could stand up in the parliament and tell we that he had 10 years to serve the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and he did it in the best of his ability. Well, if that is the best of Dr. Rowley's ability, I wouldn't like to see where it's bad, you know? Because it's all hell break loose in Trinidad and Tobago under this wicked administration. So all who ball in Guyana and the chicken curry or curry chicken, all you take that and put that in all your pipe and smoke that. And the only people could give we, or it could be a little hard now because PNM mash up the place. So she could need some time to deliver these kind of goodies to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, is the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bissessa and the United National Congress. So Mr. Lennox, you have a blessed one. If I have any more thing to come to my mind, I will come in again.
Yes, my friend. Thank you very much, of course, for that intervention. And I want to say to you once again, well done, well said. These are the realities of Trinidad and Tobago today, and we must accept it for what it is. And that, of course, as you rightly said, and I concur, that if that is Dr. Rowley best, I even want to see his worst. You know what I say? I say that if that over the last 9 years, that is the best Rowley could do. I don't want to, no. I don't want to even hear, I don't want to see, I don't want to listen, I don't want to taste, I don't want to smell, I don't want to touch. What only worse will be, I am in a state of perpetual phobia, fear. If that is Rowley's best, then clearly, because what he has done over the last 9 years so far is tell us, is only cut. Tell us at one time there was no road in Trinidad, one time there was no Petrotrin, one time there was no Wassa, and he continues with these asinine, dotish, scare tactic, government, and then of course opportunistic in the sense that the establishment of schemes of all kinds, whether he wants to of course give tax amnesty, or he wants to of course change Polymore dollars in exchange for the then cut notes, all of it was schemes designed of course to bring pain. Hey, Calgary, the man has a proclivity, he has a propensity, he has an inclination, he has a predilection, or he's predisposed for only evil. And the man is totally blind. Let's go to the lines. We have another caller here. President, good night, welcome.
Hey, hello, good night.
Good night to you, my friend.
Yeah, very good.
Loud and clear, my friend.
You man have an obsession with people money, boy.
Yes, I'm telling you, but to do evil. To do evil, yes.
I listened to Ravi Rasiram talk today. The man heard talk, boy. But you could see Kakoni tell him nothing. And you say one word all the time to hammer them with dumb. And you end up saying, oh, really, the dumbest prime minister you ever seen your life.
Who said that?
Ravi Rasiram, remember from Cuba?
Okay, yeah. Rasiram, yes.
Yeah, Cuba North. Hammer them.
You sure he didn't also add the most evil?
Boy, he called them dumb so much at time.
Well, I suppose that could cover evil as well, so we give him credit for that.
He had them, they could make a note as he did them good. So when you winding up, no when he must come to wind up. But anyway, he must go to. You know what's that problem enough?
Yeah.
People money. And like the Indian people money they take it.
Yes.
Yeah, why you must go see. That Kamala know that people have money very involved on the dollar bills. Right? That's why she will repeat that law when they come every day. But they can't be in that business.
Right.
I said to myself, something wrong with it. They make people bringing all the money here. $200. Who knows what happens? Some ain't get back, nobody ain't get back none. Them still have that on their mind enough.
Yeah, the man like a parasite, you only take, and give back nothing, and then say that he did his best. Get the hell out of office. Well, go ahead.
They have an obsession with people money.
Yes.
And a part of the racing pools are a couple of them. They say Indian people money they study it, but why? The people studying all their money, but they still feel they have more $100 behind them somewhere in our world. You must talk that. I don't like to call people names, you know, but it was one of the greatest asses of all time, you know. I hear this man, I can't believe this, what this man talking. He said, this is why he can't run against the cashless thing when they want to come in. Right?
Yes.
Because if you go cashless and if you have money, I know. I know good. I know he helped out some Chinese man in an airport in Madrid or somewhere. One set of line. Where I got proud of achieving more than enough. Yeah. And the thing again, I know what I did. Immediate immediate effect, $200,000 to every household in the country. And nobody must work for less than $100,000 a month. Until I get if you get $100,000 a month salary, where are you? Unlike over here, the water change is very people have.
Yes.
That cashless thing out, that thing will come to pass. Because the court, I want to see the court go and think about that. In what is a kind of match but how it look like.
Right.
And both you know what they do for the past 10 years. And it wasn't for their ability. The country will have crashed.
Just
You know,
imagine that.
I'm sure, yeah?
I mean, and he made these bold and fictitious statements,
Yes,
and
boy.
I'm using that as an understatement, fictitious, because I want to say blasted, unadulterated, putrid and puerile lies.
Like a joke, and yet the two things they make most outstanding.
Yeah.
There is VAT on electronics and on and sports equipment. There is VAT on over the food. You don't talk about people are working. And all they say, you don't know about that, you know.
No. They are very selective to try to argue and defend the indefensible.
Yeah, and you say, this is what you and can't take. We keep the country running good for 10 years. They have nothing to consider against me. Right? And then when they can't take how good we run in the country, I say to myself, how am I doing good? And if I talk, people like Olero, talk show hosts and all this, the media, who crying them down, you know, and well, I know all this crying them down. But you put it in a nutshell, you know? You know, he talk shit.
No. It's clear that they have gone insane, and it's just a matter of time before they collapse on themselves.
Then now if they go in the court with that cashless thing, they're going to get wood, you know.
And of course,
They're going to get wood from all angles. Something else he talk. But pure madness he want to talk, boy, and do like if they do so good. Ratiram Hammer Rowley.
very good.
Hammer Rowley. And like he have everything. All the wrong we will do.
Yeah, from this weekend, I will be, of course, from Saturday, I will be looking at the budget and some of the contributions in a capsule form, so that we make certain we capture everything and we bring it to the attention of, including, of course, the nonsense that those on the government side will have spoken. I mean, it's the most set of what I consider to be cesspool verbalization that I've ever come across in one place in the PNM. I mean, it is just horrendous, and it is just unfathomable. Go ahead.
Boy, that man, Hammer, all of them.
Yes.
Minister of Education, and nobody could talk, boy. Nobody could even raise an objection to him as a speaker, so.
And I'm sure that he decided not to give way if they attempted to intervene.
He will do that.
Yes.
Man, Hammer, everybody sit down quiet and take it, and he share blows, eh? And he have everything memorized. All the wrong things what they do, take away this, take away that. They were speechless when he done.
Very good.
Amen.
I'm going to look at it tonight. That is one of my more favorite parliamentary representatives. Unassuming,
Yes.
but of course very, very, very deadly politically.
Well, listen to him, I don't like your boy.
All right.
I really like him.
Yes, man.
And some more other thing. When we talk about your heart, it was like we actually tell them what they wrote. He talked last week how things going to be hard till 1997. And he come this week and see everything going good, the economy good and everything.
Yes.
He said, I could believe this man and said, listen to that. So he started to call him dumb from there. And the dogs pull out that and listen to each other like that. He hammer them that the worst military education ever had. And all of this. He was very good. So you pull up that tonight when you're done
Yes.
and enjoy that.
Okay, I certainly will.
I know you're not on tomorrow,
Right.
but Saturday you're going to be ready for them.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. Well, people, I saw comments regurgitated, rehash what has already been discussed and proven ad nauseum when Rowley called to find out from the journalists where the 100 schools that Kamala said that she constructed. He was in his usual, of course, braggadocio, hyperbolic, and of course, dogmatic best, believing that the challenge will not be taken up. We have already said on the ground report and elsewhere, my job was to fact check, to see whether or not 100 schools were in fact constructed or in the various stages of construction. You see, they're trying to play the fool or trying to play smart with foolishness. These fools trying to play smart with foolishness. So what they have not denied that 100 schools, in fact 106 schools, and we play them on this program as well, so I don't need to burden you with that because that is so obsolete. But comments brought that back up and saying that that was not so, that there is no 106 schools. I'm going to tell you the semantics at play here so you will understand that. When Kamala and they said that they pursued, of course, 106 schools, it didn't mean that the 106 schools were completed, but they did in fact pursue 106 schools. And those that were not completed, and even one or two that were in fact completed, the PNM left it in fallow to its own devices, and therefore subjected, of course, to the whim and fancy of nature, and of course exposed to the elements, including the rain, sun, etc. Because no supervision, no protection, and no preventive maintenance. So why would comments, a fellow who don't know if you come in or you go in, bring up that again? Well, I want to tell you this is for pure semantics. Because they are trying to say that Kamala, they say they build these schools. The avoidance and probably the devoidance of common sense is something that, of course, a unique quality of the ministers of the Rowley administration, including Rowley. Common sense is not as common as one would have expected. So from time to time, the Kamala Prasad predecessor, former ministers and so on, particularly Gobi Singh, will say, listen, these are the schools. And several would have been, of course, incompleted. It doesn't mean that they didn't attempt them, or then various stages of completion, usually far advanced, but were left there by the PNM because it was constructed by the UNC. So he's attempting, of course, semantics to try to do what? To hoodwink and deceive the what? The sycophants and the apologists. That ain't gonna work, comments. The people already know. You see, because it is all you who say that the UNC was corrupt, and all they keep saying that, and cannot prove that it was in fact so. In fact, I want to tell you something here, people, many of which they have not announced it, pronounced it, promulgated it. Why? Well, let me tell you first what it is before I can ask the question why. SIS. Remember that organization that Romney and them say was engaged in an incestuous relationship where the NGC put out $1 billion and of course gave it to Wassa, and Wassa then paid of course SSS for that of course wastewater treatment plant over on the Beetham. Remember that? But it's only this week I realized, because at one point in time the PNM went silent because they took the matter to court for monies that was expended. We know that now, that was expended. They tried, of course, to get an injunction to garnish it or to, let's say, to seize the company's assets. And it went, of course, to the appeal court, and the appeal court said this is nonsense, and of course gave back the people and them their assets. But even when the government appealed and went to the Privy Council agreed with the appeal court in Trinidad, and of course they said that give the people back their blasted assets and that they have nothing to answer for. Well, they're still pursuing it. And the question is, of course, as usual, at what cost? At the level of profligacy with this government, only, of course, to manifest a victory that's always consistent with their political Kobo agenda. Yes. And I cannot help but, of course, always make the comparison, because A.V. Drilling was supposed to be persecuted just as SIS. How come that is not so? How come? Because A.V. Drilling, the owners and decision makers therein are friends of Rowley and Day. That's the only reason. Rowley says so. So therefore, there is no balanced scale, and the extent to which a particular company and or individual is persecuted, not prosecuted, persecuted, will depend on the level of relationship and the quality and the extent of the relationship between, of course, that entity and the Rowley and Day. Yeah. I want to tell you that the company, Jusamco, that of course constructed that piece of the highway to Point Fortin, that of course collapsed into the swamp below, in Opuch there. But that same damn company was pouring concrete on the basement in Balize House. Understand that? You see, I am saying so simply because we have not heard who would be paying the price for the damage done and the poor quality work that caused that piece of the road to fall into the swamp below. But they have a tendency, and we must not relent. They believe that we have a 10 days mentality and therefore we are going to forget. No, we are not. Notice I brought back up, of course, the 2007 elections. Notice I will talk as if it was yesterday about sandals. I'll talk like yesterday about the mashing up of the sea bridge. I will talk like yesterday as to the acquisition of the Cabo Star. I will talk like yesterday as if it was in relation to the Galleon Passage and how they got it. We will talk, and we will talk, and in other words, we will remind you. We will remind you of the level of profligacy, waste, corruption, and nepotism, and the point I was making about, of course, calling the UNC and, of course, proving that somehow they were engaged in corruption. Well, then I want to see the corruption in relation to the aquatic center. I want to see the corruption in relation to the velodrome, the cycling velodrome in Cuba. I want to see the corruption in relation to the Cuba hospital. I want to see the corruption in relation to debate campus. I want to see the corruption. Yes. In relation to the 100 and something schools. I want to see it. Where are they, Rowley? You had 9 years. Where are you? Where are they? Hollow their tail. Go on from here. Go on from here. You vipers. Ugly. Deceptive. Political cobos. That's what you are. That's what you are. You must face the facts now. Because the people are fed up and are ready. Pleasant good night to you. Welcome to the corridor.
Yes, good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you as well.
Well, I have news for you.
Go ahead.
I hear the government want to bring some private entity to appoint police and to do promotions, and so it's like you have service for many years and well they promote you into, a higher rank, like how it normally go. I heard that on the Ian Allen show and he discussed it and he explained it like how I say it.
Inside here is a bit hot. You'll forgive me. Inside here is a bit hot. Inside here is a bit hot. I'm trying to telegraph to people inside of here that of course they must pay attention to the program because of course they have taken off the cooling system. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ms. Ariba.
Yes. So what I'm saying is Mr. Ian Allen said that Mr. Ramdeen, Gerald Ramdeen, filed an injunction to block them from doing this, and it go in front of the judge, Frank C. Prasad, so he holding them up.
Okay.
Well, I tell you, so I was telling you the other night, this government, they are lawbreakers and they're doing anything is possible with them. Don't tell yourself they can't do this and they ain't gonna do that. And they have to because it's the law. They don't care about law. They're breaking the law right through. They're breaking the democracy, right? So, as I tell you, I feel they could do just like Haiti and some other countries in other parts of the world. They feel to call election. They could postpone it and go on and on and on. And then it will have bacchanal and confusion in here. That is what they might want. I'm just saying so it could reach to that because we cannot trust them.
Don't feel
we
I
can't
am
trust
in
them.
I am in agreement with you, but it's how they do it. They do it in a way to appear to be legitimate. That is what is happening when in fact the intention and the outcome is to get an unfair advantage. I understand clearly what you're saying. It's not that I am totally unaware as to some of the shenanigans that they would engage in. Like, for instance, they could fictitiously evoke some kind of rebel and rabble rousing and then call a state of emergency and say election.
Well, this is what I'm saying. This is what they want.
They use illegal, but they cannot do it like Maduro, full in your face, like how he has done it.
No, they will use our next strategy because these fellas is not that they have all the brain to do all this kind of thing that's going on with here, like what I just mentioned about the police, right? Where they put in this private entity. No, it's not them, they ain't so bright, It's the gang they're in. People have to understand that. He tell all he in a mafia with the brotherhood. Up to now, people can't figure out who it is. You think he lie? He a liar, Rowley tell all the truth. And all they feel the man lying and he talking stupidness. He preach and he tell all the truth and he have people stupid. Right? So they just plan the thing, they have different strategy. Good? And they're fixing with a suit inside of here. Them other countries, Barbados and them, they're fixing to suit. People watching how Guyana getting, rich with the oil and all of that. They on their own, them not in that shit with CARICOM and brotherhood and one voice, If you notice when the Guyanese talking, the president talking, he away from that kind of bullshit,
Yeah, because
right?
they voted firmly in favor of Maduro producing the records to show that he won the election. Trinidad never went to the meeting. And I think one
No,
or two
they
others
never vote for
abstained.
that. I don't think they vote for him producing anything, right? They against the Guyanese president, Guyana representative in the OAS, vote against. They wanted a resolution. They, Belize, and Jamaica were the only ones voted to have some kind of discussion. Let us discuss when they sit down to talk. But the rest of them, it have who didn't vote,
And who didn't
who
go?
abstained, and who didn't go.
Yeah.
Right? Guyana not in that shit with them. Guyana is enemy with them too. Right? So people saying they want to go Guyana, but they have to understand too that Guyana don't have much population. Guyana is a poor country still, they're developing, right? The rich ones who have are the ones who migrate to the United States. They go, they come, you understand, and they will have the property, and so you will go there and you won't even be able to buy a galvanized to repair your house. You won't be able to send home money for your children. People have to look at these things. You see? Their currency is much lower than ours. Our money have value there. People that say our money don't have value in the region. No. Our money has value there. Right? It has value in Venezuela and other Latin American countries. So people, what we have to do is focus to get this man out and fix the country. If we had to ask for international help, we need observers inside of here, right? Foreign observers. Stop listening to some stupid clown. We're saying that and Carter Center, and we don't need that, because they were saying we don't need no OAS and this and that. Now look, Kamala approaching there. Don't listen to no clown. Don't listen to evildoers. We have to focus and advocate for these things because it's water more than flour. And if we don't get that kind of help, right, dog eat we supper inside of here. They will be red and ready, and the code will be red. It won't be yellow. Trust me. Good night, Lennox.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, of course, for that intervention. And consistent with what she has said, consistent with what she has said, I did my own research, of course, in preparation for the EBC's response to my Freedom of Information request. Freedom of Information request. I did some research as to the institutions that the EBC will be connected with internationally and regionally, and of course the main ones are as follows. Just to share with you what I found, and depending on the outcome, that is to say 38 days, they must of course respond to my request. I read it out to you, no need for me, except, well, of course, except to say that in summary, the EBC, just after the 2020 elections and all of the talk about the non-presence of observers orchestrated by Rowley, and the fact that they did not come, but just soon after, about 2 or 3 weeks after the elections, EBC employed an organization, a company, a toilet paper company, it is known, called Granby, that got $5 million US from the government in 2016. But that company suddenly was called in to, of course, according to the EBC, it gave them a contract, Granby a contract to dispose or for recycling electoral materials coming out of the EBC storage. But what is significant is that among the things that was found were ballot paper and, of course, polling cards from the 2020 general elections. And, of course, the freedom of information is coined around that so as to get some specific answers so that I can take it further. Well, of course, the organizations I'm talking about that we will go further with, well, of course, that the EBC either respects or is associated with, well, there's an organization called OSCE, stroke ODIHR, and then, of course, you have the European Union, you have the European Union Parliament, you have the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, you have the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly, you also have, of course, the Carter Foundation, you have, of course, the Organization of American States, you have the Commonwealth Secretariat, you have the National Democratic Institute, that is an international organization, you have the Electoral Institute for Sustainable Democracy in Africa, and you have, of course, the International Republican Institute. All of these will be contacted. Of course, there are others that are less significant or known internationally, but we will be pursuing all of them in order to bring focus on the EBC here in Trinidad and the fact of what the history it has created in terms of superintendent over unfair elections, and more specifically in favor of the PNM. Rowley could talk how much he wants, but of course he is going to be annoyed because he wants to do what he wants, undermine, of course, the electoral process, and then, of course, pretend that nothing happened, and then try to castigate us and use all kind of defamatory tactics in order to prevent us, to intimidate us. No, Rowley. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
The 4 people that they brought over from England, I paid them $49.5 million US.
Yes.
To keep the country up in here on UMT.
Yes.
And end up owing the people. You know if you pay them as yet?
You owing them?
You owing them?
I know that, yes.
Yes, as far as I know, they're paying them, they're doing them.
Okay. We look at that as well. Thank you very much for that information. Boy, is unearthing after unearthing. These people are simply despicable. And before they get the hell out of office by calling the elections early, they are looking, of course, to stay there to, of course, maybe deepen or make the blue lights much more bright and the silver bracelets a little more tight for all of them. But go ahead.
A while ago, the people said they wanted money. I know they get it. 4 English people will come down.
Yeah, when people want the money, of course, you give them a job. The job didn't achieve what you wanted. Simply, there was nothing to look for. But if you hire them, so you have to pay.
Yeah, so you must pay them some, but they still with them a lot.
All right.
Now, we had this too. I almost showed that when you pull it up.
Yeah.
I almost show I am what the election is in August.
Okay.
Like you slip up and say that. But here we start.
Yeah, well, August is the constitutionally due time. They have a 3-month which will take them into about November.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I
But
almost show I am.
they must be dissolved parliament by August.
Right. Well, you go check that, eh?
Yeah.
But here's the next thing. Once they're mining the gutter, when the embers get up to talk to why not?
Yes.
Yeah, but see your position is not there. I want to take a toilet break. Right? But the sticker put him in the place. I mean, the sticker bad, you know that, but she put him in the kitchen.
Yeah, because I mean, she was heavily criticized when, of course, she tried to sanction, or should I say censure, the representative for Maruga Tableland, when, of course, she talked about a road between somebody's leg. And she said that, well, I want to know what is the difference between that and which is worse. Rowley's, of course, in Parliament talking about a woman is a golf course.
A golf course.
Yes.
Is that such a low life on that side?
Of course.
So he must actually imply him camera going to shit. Why should she put up with that? She said him that straight. I find she just put up in mud regular. Remember she the one there? When he got to talk.
No, I think it's more that trying to appear to be balanced in a conspicuous scenario where if she didn't do that to Imbert, it would, her integrity will further erode and her justification to be where she is. So that's our attempt to balance it off. I'm sure it's that it could only be that because she didn't tell Rowley anything when it was a novelty.
But a few occasions since I was in our parliament.
Yes.
When he was about the light, he put me in place.
Yeah.
It's a little while now she doing that. So I know what caused that. Right? And then he set up all them and walk out,
Okay.
He's dancing around them, walk out and say that to go to the parliament.
Yes.
Nobody is allowed to listen to that.
That's right.
So the government had a poor day today.
Yes, I know. Talk to yourself. Caller, please hold on. Yeah? That's it?
After I think I'm done with them, they can do it anyway.
Okay. All right. Very good. Yeah.
I want to, I'm telling you, what Anita is still doing in that party?
I hear you clearly. Repeat what you said.
Anita is, she's not supposed to be in the party.
Oh.
She's talking this boy and all this thing.
Okay.
She's talking like a double-edged sword. You can't have that.
Right.
You can't be loyal to the party and not to the people. What's she over being loyal to the people?
Yeah.
You must be loyal to the party first.
That's right.
If you could be loyal to the people,
All right.
they don't come in all enough.
Of course.
They don't come and they come up against seasoned politicians.
All right.
So, check out the night and see what's going on.
Yes, I will, my friend. I will.
Someday tomorrow I'll get in touch with you.
Yeah, no problem. President Knight, welcome to the corridor.
Yes, good night, Mr. Lennox. And good night, everybody in the live.
Yes.
Hey, Mr. Lennox, listen, today in the parliament, boy, was very interesting,
Yes,
First to begin, you could have sworn it was a madman rant, You could have sworn it was a madman rant. If you see the display of this prime minister, boy, it was very interesting. And I know what was the most interesting of all? The fact that when Imbert got up to speak, Auntie Kamala and then walk on the parliament. What did we laugh? Yeah, boy, I wanted to laugh. But here's the funny thing.
Yeah.
To this evening, I saw the news where Imbert borrowed another $35 million US for one of them Latin American countries again, It was a new decent McCluck news.
Yeah, well, when he skipped the country on the last occasion, it's a roadshow that he went on. He didn't know what a roadshow was at the beginning of his term, but you get to find out and you get to like it. So they're going to borrow again and, of course, reach the borrowing percentage to be almost 100%. And, of course, there's a challenge for the incoming government. But I'm sure with people like yourself and me and so on, making the people understand what the challenges are and the creativity of the UNC, clearly, I think we will be better off without the PNM by and large and by far.
Well, listen people in this country have to be careful because I see the Prime Minister watching at people private banking account. He have an eye for people money in the bank, the personal money. Yeah, I don't know since when that become his money.
Yeah, he tried say that money sitting in the bank not being utilized is of course a sin that way. But of course he has not created anything to augment the treasury as far as the government side is concerned, as far as the fiscal side is concerned. So he wants to utilize that which is there and then destroy it and go on to the next victim. That is what he's about. He's about destruction. The man is blighted and cursed.
Boy, the man bipolar. Something wrong with that man, The man, boy, that man have a kind of serious strain of insanity, boy.
Yes.
Something wrong with he need help.
Criminal insanity.
Boy,
Criminal insanity.
Yes, criminal insanity. Yes, something wrong with him.
Yeah.
But Mr. Lakeside, go and have a good night, brother.
Same
God
to you.
bless.
Same to you, my friend. Same to you, my friend.
Okay,
well
God bless.
Well done, man. I should get. Let me see if I could muster up a round of applause for that assessment of Rowley